Tig in the Dumps. Written by Michaela Morgan. Illustrated by Mike Phillips.
One. In trouble. Tig always tried to sit still. Tig always tried not to wriggle. But he just couldn't stay still. It seemed as if his head was full of dreams and his pants were full of ants. And the school chairs really were very hard. "Have you heard a word I've said?" asked Miss Simmons.
"Oh, yes, miss,"
said Tig.
"I heard every word."
"Well, what did I say then?" Tig thought for a moment.
"Can't you remember, miss?"
he wondered. Miss Simmons exploded. "Are you trying to be cheeky?"
"No, miss,"
Tig protested.
"I'm not trying to be cheeky at all."
It was true. Tig never tried to be cheeky. He never tried to get into trouble. In fact, he always tried to be good. But somehow, things just never worked out. He had heard every word Miss Simmons had said. She'd said, "Tomorrow is book day. You can all dress up as a book character. There is a fantastic prize for the best costume. And please think carefully about your costume. Last year, everybody came as pop singers. Try to be different." Think of all the lovely books you've read in school. Look! Miss Simmons waved her hand at a display of books and posters. You could be a character from any of these books. You could be Sherlock Holmes, a detective, The Hobbit, or a hobbit, Hercules, or a superhero. 2. Little Boy Blue. All that day, Miss Simmons went on about book day. You could dress up as a pirate, or you could be my favourite character, Stig of the Dump. You all enjoyed Stig of the Dump when we read it, didn't you? It's about a boy who finds a real cave boy in a pit, remember? Miss Simmons sounded determined. "There are lots of characters you could be. I don't want to see you all dressed as pop stars this book day." At playtime, everyone decided which characters they were going to be.
"I'm going to be a footballer."
"A soccer star."
"Me too."
"A top goal scorer."
"I'll be a princess."
"So will I."
"And me." "And me."
"What will you be?"
Tig hoped nobody was going to remember the costume he wore last year. He didn't need anyone to remind him. How could he forget? His mum had gone to lots of trouble to make his costume. She always tried her best at things. She'd made him a tiger costume, but she'd made one tiny mistake. Can you spot it? How the tiger got its spots. Kev and Katie had been quick to notice the mistake. They always picked on Tig.
"Tigers don't have spots."
"Spotty tiger,"
Ha ha! Even Tig's friends gave him a hard time. All day long they went on about it. Spot the mistake!
Go get him, Tiggy Tiger!
Roar! That's how he got his nickname, Tig. But after a while, he started to like it. Tig wanted to wear his football kit for the book day competition this year. He didn't want to look different again. But when he got home and told his mum, she had other ideas. She wanted him to wear something special. Just look at it! A straw hat, a frilly blue shirt, velvet trousers, a silky belt, shiny shoes, big shiny buckles. Your auntie had this in the loft, said Mum. I promised we'd look after it really carefully. It's a little boy blue costume. I can make it fit you. As she tugged and tweaked at the costume, she sang the song. Little boy blue, come blow on your horn. The sheep's in the meadow, the cow's in the corn. But where is the boy who looks after the sheep? He's under a haystack fast asleep. Tig wished he was under a haystack. He knew what Katie and Kev would do when they saw him in the costume. He could just imagine it. Three, the perfect plan. That night, Tig had nightmares about the little boy blue suit. He couldn't stop worrying. What could he do? There were only 3 possible plans he could think of. 1. Pretend to be sick and stay off school. 2. Hide in the PE cupboard all day. 3. Run away. Then Tig had a much better idea. It was perfect. And at last he could fall asleep. In the morning, Tig put on his little boy blue costume, picked up his sports bag, waved goodbye to Mum, and set off. But he didn't go far. He had his plan. He crouched behind the hedge at the end of next door's garden. Then he took out his football kit. Carefully, very carefully, he took off the frilly blue shirt. He folded it to put it in his bag. Have you guessed the plan? Yes! Tig was going to wear his football kit as his costume for book day. Then he was going to change back into the little boy blue costume just before he went home for tea with Mum. That was his clever plan. Nobody would laugh at him, and he wouldn't hurt Mum's feelings. Nothing could go wrong. Or could it? Tig had just put the last bit of the terrible blue costume into his sports bag when he heard a growl. He looked around, and what did he see? It was the dog from next door. Tig was a bit scared of this dog. In fact, he was terrified of it. It had shiny, sharp teeth. It had slobbering jaws. It had feet as big as frying pans. And it had a very nasty look in its eye. It was looking at him. Then it snapped its jaws shut and came towards him. Tig didn't wait to find out if the dog was feeling friendly. He was off and running for his life. Clutching his bag, he ran right through the hedge, then through next door's compost heap, through a garden pond, over a strawberry patch, through another hedge, and then there he was, in the school playground, wearing only his underpants. He was also wearing quite a lot of pondweed, some mud, bits of straw, twigs, and some grass cuttings. This is what he looked like. Could it get any worse? 4. For you. Yes, it could. He had been seen. A group of people came towards Tig. They were staring at him and pointing. It was just like his nightmare. He could see Katie and Kevin and his teacher, Miss Simmons. He was in trouble. Deep trouble. First to speak was Kev. "Phew!" he said. But before he could carry on, Miss Simmons butted in. "Yes," she said. "You look just like Stig of the Dump. Brilliant! Fantastic! Different!" All the other kids were footballers and princesses. They stared at Tig. Then one by one they said, "Cool! Great idea! Yeah!" Even Kev looked impressed. And of course, Tig won the prize. It was an enormous box of chocolates. He took them home, had a bath, changed his clothes, and gave the box of chocolates to Mum. She was pleased. "You've looked after the costume so well. It looks as good as new," she said. "Why, it almost looks as if it had never been worn." Then she smiled and ate a chocolate. "Nutty, but nice," she laughed. And she gave him a big hug.